Alright, what's up people? It's me, the Zodiac. Welcome back to another tier list video. Let's go. Today we're gonna rank every single weapon in XDefiant. We're gonna rank these weapons based off of their max potential. So with the weapons in the game, you have the max potential, which is you have like a full build on it. You got all the really good attachments for it. You got a really good build on it. We're assuming that each gun is at its max potential. So that's what we're going to be ranking these guns off of. So I will rank each weapon. And then once we've ranked every weapon, I'll rearrange everything. And I'll give my opinions and why I think that weapon deserves to be in that place. M16 first, because I think I'm going to go from best to worst, maybe. We're going to go like that. And then like that, and then yep. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. Should we do top 5? Ooh, top 5. Let's do a top 5. Let's do top 5. Yeah. I mean, come on. I mean, like, all right. And then A tier. All right. This is so the best guns in the game. That's the easy part. The best guns are the easy part. The hard part is after that. This is hard. We gotta just like throw some guns in there. Okay, the Lavola is really good. The Vector is really good. The Vector's probably better than the Lavola. Okay, the P90 is really good. That turns out, man, the L105 is good. Probably. I just probably don't know. Lavola. I didn't even okay. Where are you going? Okay, hello. That's fine for your lucky. And for and then go and it's so smart. Okay. I'm not saying this is boom. Done. Fucking done. Alright. So. Let's go from top to bottom. Let's start with the SVD and the Marksman rifles. Why are they in a tier of their own? Because they're broken as fuck. Alright, they're broken as fuck. It's that simple. They two-shot. The SVD, if you put heavy barrel on it, one-shots you in the head, unless you're a Phantom. They're absurd. They're absolutely absurd. They have decent movement. They have like the movement of like ARs. Like you can move around like you're moving around with an AR with a two-shot weapon. You know, like both of them have good mag sizes. Like the only reason people would say marksman rifles aren't good is if they have bad aim. If you have bad aim, then it's obvious they're not going to be good. But we're talking in terms of a good player. These weapons are absolutely absurd. Absolutely absurd. Both of them. Both of them are on a different level to any other guns in the game. And it's not comparable, really. Because they just absolutely destroy you. If you have good aim. You need to have good aim. Right? It's the same... the same thing for like the M16. You know what I mean? But we'll get to that. These guns are just absurd. Absurd. Absolutely absurd. The fact that they're even in ranked right now, it's ridiculous. It's just ridiculous, man. But the only people that use them in ranked are like bronze players. But that's a side tangent. People that are respectable won't use the broken type of broken shit in ranked. But these weapons are absolutely ridiculous, absolutely broken. There's not much more that needs to be said about them. I could tell you how I would think that they could be balanced, and it's not simply just nerfing their damage, right? Because that's not like the biggest problem with them. Like you can nerf their time to kill by like a bullet, and then they're 3-shot, and they will still be really powerful. But the problem with them is how versatile they are, right? You're moving around like you're moving around with an AR. Like they're supposed to be long range weapons. They're supposed to not ADS that quick. And yet we're sitting here with all of this versatility on 2-shot weapons. So in terms of like the actual reason why they're broken, that would be the reason. It's the versatility of them. They ADS super quick. They have super quick movement because they're essentially ARs, but they're semi-automatic and they 2-shot you. It's ridiculous. They're ridiculous. If they had like LMG movement and LMG mobility, then they might genuinely be balanced. But right now, they're just like, they're out of this world. Out of this world. So, that goes for both of them. That goes for both of them. Like, the SVD isn't necessarily better than the MK20. It's pretty much a preference thing. But the SVD does one shot to the head with a heavy barrel. So, take that for what you will. They're broken as fuck, though. There's not much more that needs to be said. So, the M16 is far and away the best gun in the game, outside of marksman rifles, but it's far and away the best gun in the game. It's absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely busted. You could throw rapid fire on it. You could throw, like, mobility attachments on it. It doesn't have a lot of recoil. So you could just throw a mobility build on it and rapid fire and run around and just two burst people. It's absolutely ridiculous. And it can literally one burst you to the head. With no heavy barrel, nothing. Just singular. If you hit all 4 bullets in your burst, I think if there's 4 bullets that come out of your burst, if you hit all 4 to the head, they're dead. One burst. Doesn't matter. Absolutely absurd. Absolutely ridiculous. One bursting somebody. Of course, the argument, you need to have really good aim with this gun because it's not an automatic weapon, right? It's a burst weapon. So you need to have way better aim than you would need with an automatic weapon. But if you have decent aim, this gun is absolutely broken. Like, it's not even close. It's not even close. How to balance it? Again, if it had more recoil, then you wouldn't be able to run like a mobility build on it. And you'd have to run like a recoil build, basically. Which would mean most of the recoil attachments in the game right now slow down your movement. So if you're running anti-recoil attachments, your movement's going to be even slower than what it is at base. Which means you're going to have to play more range with the M16. And if you're playing more range, that means you're going to have more damage fall-offs. You're going to have to adjust for that. And so it would be more balanced if you had to sit back and play more range and actually use it like an AR. But because you don't have to do that right now because it doesn't have a lot of recoil, you know, you could just run around and fucking two burst people with mobility and absolutely just shit on all of them and ruin their days because this gun is stupid as fuck. So that's what I would do. I mean, get rid of the one burst to the head maybe, because that's kind of absurd. And just make it have more recoil, pretty much, because the gun doesn't move. The AK-47, this gun, is also fucking broken as fuck. And I didn't actually think it was better than the ACR at first, but it is far and away better than the ACR. If you have good aim, the AK is just, the time to kill is just faster. It's just faster. It has a really good fire rate and it outputs a shit ton of damage. Headshot multiplier is insane, and the gun doesn't move. Like, it has 0 recoil. So the AK is just like all around an insane gun. And then you throw fucking mobility attachments on it, and you're just running around with it like absolutely broken shit with full mobility. It's just all around a really broken gun. All around. Like, and it's way easier to use than the M16, which there could be an argument that the AK is the best gun in the game because of how much easier it is to use than the M16. Like, the M16 takes a lot of skill in a sense because you need to have really good aim. You can make the argument the AK is better in that manner because the AK doesn't have that aim skill gap. You don't need to have like as good of aim to use the AK as you need to use the M16. It's just generally broken as fuck. How to nerf it? That one's hard on the M16. That one's a lot harder than the M16 to think about a nerf for. Probably, it's hard to say, like, the damage, it's hard to nerf the damage. Because if you nerf the damage too much, then it just loses to the ACR. And there's no point to use it over the ACR. It's hard to say, like, you could nerf the fire rate a little bit. And that might help if you nerf the fire rate a little bit. And then obviously if you add recoil to it, like make it so you have to use recoil attachments on it, make it so you can't just run around with it. That would balance that out as well. But you know, you want to do that with every gun in the game, because then it just gets like you have to use recoil attachments on this gun. So that the AK is a hard one to nerf, because it's not like, it's like better than a lot of the other guns in the game. Like it's the second best gun in the game, excluding Marksman's. But you don't want to nerf it into the ground. Like you still want it to be viable. So it's hard to nerf it while keeping it like strong. But I do believe it does need a nerf, because it's just generally too powerful. But then we get to the ACR. And the ACR is like the gold standard of the game in terms of ARs right now. And I believe that the ACR, like the meta with the ACR and the MP7, as long as people are following that and not being like dickholes and using M16 and AKs and Marksmans, that meta is very solid. Like the ACR MP7 meta is very solid, because both of the guns are like the strongest of their classes, excluding the fucking broken ones. The MP7 is the strongest of its class, but the ACR, obviously, you have the two broken guns in the game. So, but both guns are really strong, but they're not strong enough to where I think there's a justifiable nerf to be made to them. So it's rough. I think I do think that you need to bring some other guns up in order like to make those guns more viable to compete with the ACR and MP7, and maybe like slightly nerf the ACR and MP7, but they don't need like huge nerfs, because both of these guns are like just solid, and they're meta because they're the strongest. But like if you look at like the Vector versus the MP7, those guns are really close to each other, and like the difference between the Vector and the MP7, we're getting a little off track here, but that's fine, is the Vector has a way steeper range fall off, so the Vector will shred you at that very close engagement, but the MP7 is more versatile because it has less of a steep range fall off, so you can use the Vector or the MP7 at a much larger range, which just makes it a more versatile SMG, whereas the Vector, you just have to like barrel stuff people and like actually get in their faces, and that's when it's better. So like that type of versatility between those two guns makes both of those guns viable, and both of those guns have very different play styles that are really good for the game. And that's why I kind of like this MP7 ACR meta that we're in right now, because if we build some of these other play styles up, then that allows for those guns to compete and those play styles to compete with those guns. It's just that's where we want to be. That's where we want to be. So the ACR and the MP7, maybe like a slight nerf, but you don't want to nerf them too much to where the meta completely changes. You know what I mean? Like they're super strong, but they're not so strong to where they need a huge nerf. Maybe they need a little tuning, maybe a little bit of tuning. But yeah, the ACR and we talked about them both. So the MP7, they're both just like really strong weapons. So let's talk about the TAC 50. The reason it's top, like bottom of S tier, is because I think it's stronger than like the Vector and the Lavoa, because it's a sniper, you know, at one shots. If you're a really good sniper, this gun is insane. I've used this gun in rank. You can hit some really nasty like angles with this gun and put yourself on a really good positioning, and bro, it's just like you're unstoppable. Like you got good snipe aim, you're just shitting on people left and right. It's got really good ADS speed. It's for quick scopes. It's got one shot to the stomach. It's got the most damage out of every sniper in the game. It's got good mobility, like just really good gun, really powerful. And now with snipers having actual flinch on them when they get shot, I genuinely think it's balanced and well balanced, and I don't think that it needs a nerf at this point with the flinch. So that's really all there is to say about the TAC 50, to be honest with you. Like, the gun's just really powerful, really strong, really good gun. I don't believe it needs to be nerfed because the flinch, I believe, is enough of a nerf to it. To snipers generally. So, on to A tier with the Vector. The Vector is the second best SMG in the game. And like I said earlier, it's really powerful because you could get up in their face and absolutely shred people, but also it sucks dick because the range fall off is so steep that you lose those mid-range engagements very frequently with this gun. So like, the Vector is very, like, if you're playing on a very mid-range type of map, like, there's not a lot of routes you can take to get up in their faces, and, you know, then it's gonna, you're not gonna see a lot of utility and performance and efficiency out of the Vector because it's just really, like, up in their face. I'm taking, like, routes, or I'm just, like, running at them, getting in, like, within 10 meters of them, like, and then I'm just shredding them with the Vector, you know? You can't do that on some maps, and it makes the gun a lot worse than the MP7. So it's lacking that versatility, but if you do get to that ideal engagement, it's absolutely insane how good this gun is. Like, it just shreds people, and it has no recoil either. So it's like, it's a really fun gun to use, and it's a really powerful weapon, and it is, I do believe it's viable, but like, and then you got those maps that are just like, it's impossible to take engagements with this gun on, and those are the maps where it's not viable. So, you know, it's 50-50 with this gun, but it's a great gun. So, on to the Lavoa. Third best AR in the game. Second best if you discount, or actually fourth, my bad. Second best if you discount the two broken ones. This gun just generally is the flex weapon that we all want. It's really good close range because of the super fast fire rate. It's got no recoil, so it's really good mid-range, and it doesn't have a lot of damage fall. Like, the range fall off isn't super bad on it, so like, you're pumping out damage mid-range. This gun is just like really versatile, and the like I said, it's the flex weapon we all wanted. It's just a really versatile, pumps out damage because of the super fast fire rate, has decent damage to begin with, does 17 damage to like, doesn't have a super steep range fall off because it's an AR, has good mobility, doesn't have a lot of recoil, so you can build around other things and not have to worry about the recoil, has amazing iron sights, so you don't have to waste a reflex on it. Like, this gun just is really, really, really good, and just like squeezes into the meta. And a lot of people like in rank haven't been using it because we're just sticking to like the ACR MP7 shit right now, but I could see people using it in rank very easily because it fits that flex play style perfectly. It's literally the flex weapon we all want. So, just a great gun. Super fun gun too. Perfect. Just perfect gun. The L115, people have been using this a bit in rank. More than the TAC 50, which is odd because the TAC 50 is significantly better. But this gun is solid. It's a solid gun. And in terms of snipers, it is that middle ground. Like, it's more towards the mobility of the M44, but also more towards the damage of the TAC 50. It's literally the perfect middle ground. It's a perfect middle ground. It's just like, you still have those inconsistencies that the TAC 50 doesn't have. Not as much as the M44 has, but you still have them. And then, like, is it really worth it for the mobility? You're not getting as much mobility as you're getting with the M44, so, like, it's kind of just like a mediocre gun because it's just in the middle. But the reason it's better than the M44 is because it's more consistent. It's easier to use. It's just like a mediocre gun because it's, like, in the middle. But even for being a mediocre gun, it's still good. It's still solid. It's still a solid gun. So, P90, the third best SMG out of the four. It's solid. It's a solid gun. We're starting to get into the solid territory where the guns are like, we took like a steep fall off from the Lavoa, and now we're just getting into guns that are like solid. So, The P90 is solid. It's very versatile. It has good range. It has good damage. It has good fire rate. It has no recoil. It has a really good magazine size. It's an SMG, so it has great mobility. But it just doesn't, like, it doesn't really fit anywhere. It's kind of like a flex SMG, where it tries to be like a middle ground between the MP7 and like the Vector, but it just doesn't do anything like better than those two guns. Mid-range, you're still losing the MP7. Close range, you're losing to the Vector. Close range, you're losing the MP7 too. So like, this gun just like, it doesn't do anything. It doesn't do anything like that's super good. If it had that one extra damage and was 19 like the MP7 and the Vector, we might be talking about something there. But it doesn't. It does 18, so it's worse. Unfortunately. The double barrel, out of all the shotguns, is the best shotgun in the game. It's the most consistent. It will absolutely rail people. It just sucks because it only has 2 bullets. But other than that, like, this gun is just really good. In terms of shotguns. Solid gun overall. In terms of shotguns, really good. Not much to say about this gun. You will rail people if you have good aim, and if you don't, then your 2 shots are gone and you gotta reload and you're dead. So M60, I heard from an anonymous source that this gun has the fastest TTK in the game, but that is subjective and I have no clue if that's fucking true or not. This gun's all right. It's a very, like, it's the best LMG by far. It's a really good gun. It's just an LMG, you know. So it's got really slow movement. It's not versatile. Got a really slow reload. Really hard to get around the map with. Just like hard to have good movement. Just, it's an LMG, man. You know, it's not versatile, so it's not as great as some other weapons in the game. Because of that, but it does pump out a shit ton of damage, and that's why it is really good. But that the mobility, because it's an LMG, makes this gun balanced, makes it solid. Not much else to say about that gun. We're getting a lot simpler answers now. The M44, talked about it a little bit earlier. Very fast mobility, very quick ADS speed, and a very solid sniper, but doesn't compare to the other two because it's more inconsistent. You have to hit the chest, and that's hard for a lot of people to do. Why am I hit marking with the M44? Because you're not hitting the chest, brother. Yeah, it's a hard gun to use. It doesn't even one-shot Phantoms because it only does 112, and Phantoms have 120 HP, which we will talk about in our faction tier list video. But yeah, the gun's all right. It's solid. It's really fun. Like, out of all the snipers to use, when I was first using the snipers, I had the most fun with the M44. But it's just okay. It's okay. The mobility is really fun to use, but the inconsistency fucks you over. So now the M4A1. This AR is just okay. It's just okay. It has no recoil, which is great. It tries to be a flex gun, but it doesn't exceed anywhere. It's got really, like, you could build mobility for it, which makes it a lot better and a lot more, like, good to use. It makes it a lot more solid of a gun if you're building mobility for it. You could use it more like an SMG, and the fire rate on this gun is really good, so you kind of want to use it that way. And it'll still beam because it has no recoil. So you could still hit those those mid-range engagements, but you're just losing to pretty much every other, like, a lot of other guns in the game. Like, a lot. Because the gun just isn't that good. It just doesn't do enough. It doesn't have a fast enough TTK. It's that simple, really. It doesn't do enough damage. RPM's really good, but it lacks. It lacks. And the MDR is similar to the M4. It tries to be that flex gun again. but it's just, it doesn't do a great job at it because it doesn't exceed at doing anything. It has a really fast fire rate, but it's more unstable, meaning like it shakes a lot when you shoot it. It doesn't have a lot of recoil, but for whatever reason, it does kick up into the left, whereas every other gun kicks up into the right, I've noticed. Pretty sure that's a fact. Double check me, but really weird how that works for that gun. Maybe they fixed it. Maybe that was like preseason, but preseason it kicked up to the left, whereas every other gun kicked up to the right. I don't know if it was a bug because it was preseason. If it still does it now, fact check me, but just a weird gun. It doesn't really do anything. It doesn't shine, really. It's just like, it's alright. You know? It's better at close range engagements because of that instability. It doesn't really, like, and it has more of a range fall off, so it doesn't really do, like, that great at mid-range, even though it tries to be a flex gun. So it's pretty much just like a shitty SMG. Like a really shitty SMG. But, I mean, it's alright. So the M249, this gun is solid. Again, we're in that solid territory now. It's just a solid gun all around. Just a solid gun. No recoil, decent damage, good range. But it's an LMG, so the mobility tanks it and makes it a lot worse. If it were an AR, it'd be kind of nuts, but it's not. So it's just an alright gun. RPK, I honestly fucking hate this gun, but it's not bad. It's solid. Out of all the LMGs, I think it's the worst by far, but it's a good gun. It does good damage. Fire rate sucks, but it has no recoil. It has the LMG mobility, but this gun can beam for sure. Like, you're playing those super long range engagements, you're just fucking beaming people with this gun. It doesn't have that bad a range fall off, so you're just fucking destroying people. So the RPK can be really good, but just solid gun. I think my headset just turned off. That's awesome sauce. MP5. This gun sucks dick. There's not much else to say about it, to be honest with you. That's a speedrun answer. This gun is fucking miserable. It's horrible. I hate this gun. This gun is fucking awful. One of the worst guns in the game, in my opinion. But I mean, the reason is it's not fun to use, for one. I mean, that doesn't matter, but it doesn't do a lot of damage. It doesn't have a super fast fire rate. At the very least, it has no recoil, but the magazine isn't, like, insane. It's got a 30-round mag. Like, this gun is, like, the most mediocre gun of all fucking time. The saving grace is that its range fall off is better than, like, most of the SMGs in the game, if not all of the SMGs, I'm pretty sure, off the top of my head. But it doesn't matter, because this gun sucks dick. It sucks. It's horrible. It's a god-awful gun. The gun just sucks. There's not much else to say about it. This gun blows. The M870. This gun also fucking blows. And the reason it blows is because you hit people, center mass, and then they're down to 2 HP. This gun sucks. This gun is very inconsistent. Like, you'll hit them center mass, and I'm not kidding. You'll get them down to 2 HP, and you're like, what the fuck? Why am I not just using the double barrel at this point? Like, I don't know. Why aren't you using the double barrel? Just use the double barrel. That gun's significantly better. Like, a lot better. No, you decided to use the M870. This gun fucking sucks. Fucking sucks. Still better than the secondaries, though, because the secondaries aren't broken as fuck in this game, unlike other games. The 9.3R is the best secondary in the game. Really good. You can hit people in the head with a burst, and it does, like, fucking 30 damage to the head. The gun's actually, like, insane. 9.3R is, like, actually really good. Best secondary in the game. I don't really, like, there's not much to say about secondaries. They obviously, they have great mobility. None of them have really recoil, except for, like, you get to the D50 and the Magnum. In terms of fire rate, it depends on your trigger finger. Like, you know, in terms of damage, they all do very similar damage to each other, except for the Magnum and the D50. And the double barrel now. but not much to say about secondaries. The M9 is really good. It's got a really good magazine size, which is why I think it's better than the M1911. The M1911 does a lot more damage, but the M9 has a way higher magazine size. It has 15 versus 7, which is like, you need that, kind of. Because the M1911, you gotta hit your shots. M9, it still does great damage, great magazine size. Depends on your trigger finger how fast it shoots. It shoots faster than the M1911. You know, it's one of the best secondaries in the game. Doesn't beat the 9.3R in my opinion, but double barrel debatably could be the best secondary in the game. But because it's the double barrel, it could also be the worst secondary in the game. You know, it's very variable, so I kind of just stuck it in the middle of all of them. It's very variable because this gun, if you play smart with it and use it how like you're supposed to, you could play it like, you know, someone's about to run at you because you're low HP. You know you're not going to win an engagement with your primary, so you swap to the DB and then you just one-shot them with it. Like, there's so much smart shit you could do with this gun that you can outplay someone with, but at the same time, like, in order to get that play, which wouldn't, like, is not necessarily going to happen a lot unless you're constantly throwing yourself in bad situations and bad positioning. That situation is not going to happen a lot. So in order to like get that one, like that pipe dream moment, you have to sacrifice your mobility, and that throws off your timings because every other pistol in the game has better mobility than the DB. That was kind of their balancing factor with it, is they didn't want you to run super fast with it and just get up in people's faces and fucking insta kill them, you know, which is fair. It only has 2 bullets in it, so you gotta hit those shots, otherwise you're fucked anyways. Like, you'd be better with a better secondary. So like, it's very variable, but I just stuck it in the middle because I think that, I mean, arguably the M1911 is better, but like I said, the D50 or the double barrel, it could be the worst, it could be the best secondary in the game. It could be either end of the spectrum depending on the situation, you know. So M1911 we kind of already talked about, but the fire rate's somewhere in the middle, you know. The magazine size is super low, so you have to hit your shots. It only has 7 bullets unless you put an extended mag on it, but then you're wasting your mobility speed, so you're kind of just throwing everything off. Fucks with everything. Not great. It does do great damage. It does do really good damage, but you have to hit those shots, and you have to hit like 3 bullets out of the 7, or like sometimes 4 bullets if you don't hit a headshot, I think. So you have to hit like more than half of your magazine. It's just, or half, yeah, more than half. It's a hard gun to use, but it can be good. D50, I think this gun's fucking horrible. Personally, this gun I think is miserable. It's horrible. It's not fun to use. It's not rewarding. It's just like not great. Unless you hit headshots, this thing's a 3-shot kill to the body, I'm pretty sure. And you have to be really close range because it's secondary, and the secondaries have massive range fall off. So this thing, you have to be like within 10 meters of someone, and then it's a 3-shot kill within 10 meters of someone. It's horrible. This gun fucking sucks. It fucking sucks. And it kicks a shit ton. Kinda. I mean, it has a lot of visual recoil, I think. I don't think it actually kicks a shit ton. I think it's just like visual, but it's just not great. Not a good gun. The AA-12. One of the worst guns in the game. This gun fucking blows. You have to be like 5 meters in front of someone in order for this gun to do anything. When you get to that 5 meters, it's pretty good. It'll shred them like it's supposed to, but outside of that, this gun fucking blows thick. It's horrible. There's like no redeeming factors about this gun other than like, you know, you're like barrel stuffing them and you kill them like you should, you know. Other than that, pretty horrible gun. Like there's not much else to say about this gun. It's like one of like the worst gun in the game, arguably. I think there's a worse gun, and you want to know what that worst gun is? The fucking Magnum. This gun's the worst gun in the game. This gun is horrible. The fire rate is dog shit. It's got like massive amounts of visual recoil or recoil. I don't fucking know. This gun's just fucking horrible. This gun sucks. It shoots super fucking slow. It's got like 6 bullets in it. It hardly does it. It's a 3-shot kill. It's got massive range fall off, just like the D50. The only time you're killing people is when you're hitting headshots and then you hit another bullet. Like, this gun blows. It sucks. Worst gun in this fucking game. That's the end of this fucking video. I've been yapping so goddamn long. I've been yapping for goddamn 37 minutes, motherfucker. I need, like, some water. My mouth is fucking dry. I'm sick of this shit. I'm fucking sick of it. Leave a like, subscribe, hit the bell, and you see all my fucking videos. They're all amazing. Faction tier list next. Have a good fucking day.